Maryland, one of the original 13 states and one of several southern states that did not secede from the Union during the Civil War. The state did not go without its struggles, though. Before the war, Baltimore, the largest city in Maryland, stood firmly in its loyalty to our nation. But as the southern states began to secede, many of Baltimore's citizens wished to do so as well. Lincoln wanted to retain the state as part of the Union not only for the benefits it would provide, but also for its location and relationship to Washington. The two groups, those who supported secession and those who supported the Union, went against each other in their views, and this eventually resulted in what side Maryland would take in the Civil War. But before its loyalty was decided, the nation had to face Baltimore unresolved. Located 30 miles south of the Mason-Dixon line, the metaphoric separation of the North and South states, the city felt a strong link to the South. Baltimore often found itself transferring southern crops, not unlikely for a place with such means of communication as a harbor and railroads. Robert E. Lee, the eventual leader of the Southern Army, even called Maryland the South's sister state once, an indication that he too felt the powerful bond. In April of 1861, Baltimore's mayor, George William Brown, wrote a letter to Lincoln concerning the passage of the Union troops through the city. And the citizens are universally decided in the opinion that no more should be ordered to come. It is my solemn duty to inform you that it is not possible for more soldiers to pass through Baltimore unless they fight their way at every step. A rather eerie statement, Brown's words perfectly foreshadowed the heated feelings Baltimoreans felt toward Union troops. Lincoln himself was not a highly praised figure in their eyes. A mere 3% of Baltimore's votes were actually cast in this politician's favor during the presidential election. It is even believed that a group was conspiring the assassination of Lincoln before he reached his office in Washington, D.C. Forced to travel in the darkness of the night, Lincoln passed through Baltimore without making a public appearance. The Confederacy was not alone in its influence of Maryland's high city. The Union set its eyes on all the advantages Baltimore could supply, including its transportation and close location to Washington. In fact, Baltimore sits 45 miles north of the capital, a fairly short distance compared to some other farther away cities. If the North's troops could pass through the city, they would save a great deal of time. Also, if the Union lost Maryland, Washington would be surrounded by Confederate states. Evidently, the Union did not want to lose Baltimore or the rest of Maryland. As noted before in history, two opposing sides never get along well. It was no different for the Confederacy and Union. On April 19, 1861, the 6th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment stopped in the city in order to switch trains. What came next would change Baltimore's circumstances for the remainder of the war. Confederate sympathizers jeered and cast stones at the soldiers, taunting the men. The action soon turned violent, and the sympathizers attacked the troops. Shots were fired from both sides, leaving several soldiers and citizens dead. Citizens went to such lengths as cutting down telegraph wires and destroying rail lines after the riot to ensure that the Union troops could no longer enter. The North would not rest after the riot. Since Maryland was still part of the Union and bound by the Constitution, Lincoln decided to use this to his advantage. One right the Constitution offers is known as the writ of habeas corpus. The writ requires citizens to be charged with a crime when arrested, though the Constitution declares that this writ may be suspended in cases of invasion or rebellion. On April 27th, Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus for the Maryland state area. Southern supporters and those who partook in the riot were arrested without charges and imprisoned in Fort McHenry. Finally, on May 13th, General Benjamin F. Butler and his troops occupied Federal Hill, ultimately gaining the Union control of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. The effects of the secessionist and Unionist dispute over Baltimore did not directly contribute to the end of the Civil War. However, it did cause Maryland to take a side in the war. From there, the state remained a part of the Union, though with its southern leanings. The Civil War raged on for 7 more years before finally ending in 1865, but by then, the damage had been done.